Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Very exciting video for you guys. Today we're gonna be ranking some makeup products. This video idea was inspired by my friend Andrea here on YouTube. I will link her video down below for you guys, but she did a top 3 makeup products within each makeup category. I think I've seen a couple other people do this video as well. I think she posted this one a couple months ago. I've been meaning to do it for a while, but I have a hard time ranking my makeup. I always hate to leave things out when I do these types of videos, but I've done it. I've gone through everything and picked out my current top 3 favorite things within each makeup category. A lot of good stuff in here, some old classic favorites you guys will have seen before, a couple newer things, but I try not to pick anything too new. All of these are products that I really know very well. So we had better get into it. I know this might take a little while. Before we do, special welcome if you are a new visitor here. Very happy to have you here. I hope you enjoy this video today. I hope that you will consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. And with that said, let's get to the rankings. Okay, so let's start off with a primer. You guys might know I don't have a massive collection of primers, but I do have 3 favorites that I want to share with you. Probably my #1 favorite would have to be this one right here, the Flower Beauty Supernova Celestial Priming Whip. I have really come to enjoy this primer. This is a good primer. It gives me a little bit of glow, gives me a little bit of hydration, but it also has this very subtle, kind of grippy or tacky feeling to it as well. It seems like it does everything all in one. It's very pleasant and fun to use. It's kind of a foam, so it comes out. It's a bit of a foam, as you can see. It smells really nice. It's somewhat cooling on the skin. It's just a really enjoyable primer to put on, and it perfectly preps my face for foundation. Next primer I love, and I should have mentioned, I do have dry skin, so keep that in mind as we're talking about complexion products. For my second favorite primer, I'm gonna go with the Tarte Glotion Primer. This is a really beautiful primer. I considered picking the Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury, but I probably use that product more as a liquid highlighter than I do a primer. And it's also one of those products, it's one of my most prized possessions in my collection. And to this day, although I am getting better, I still have a hard time reaching for that one because it is so fancy and so expensive. I don't seem to have as much trouble doing that with this one, but this one kind of reminds me of the Hollywood Flawless Filter. Very nice and glowy, very creamy. It's not quite as rich as the Charlotte Tilbury one is, but it's very similar. If you like the Charlotte one, you might like this one as well. It's really nice and glowy. It's very hydrating. Let me just give it a little swatch on the back of my hand for you guys. I would say this one's probably not quite as glowy as the Hollywood Flawless Filter is from Charlotte Tilbury, but if you guys, hopefully you guys can kind of see that sheen. Kind of similar. Very, very nice. Doesn't break me out. Gives me a nice glow for my foundation, which I always really love. For my third primer, I had to go with this one. Even though this is kind of new as a primer to me, it's the Stay Glowy Super Gel. I just talked about this in my most recent favorites video. I have been using this as a primer for probably a little over a month now, and I love this as a primer. I liked it as a liquid highlighter, but I love it even more as a primer if you're wanting to give your skin some serious glow underneath your foundation. This stuff is lovely. So here's just one little pump of it. By the way, I think I have the mini version and mine is in the shade Star Glow. This stuff has the most beautiful, intense pearlescent sheen. Hopefully you guys can see. This one is seriously reflective, but underneath the foundation, I just apply this on the high points of my face and it really makes my skin just glow. Once I put my foundation, I just have this really healthy, natural looking glow. It is beautiful under foundation. It makes my skin look amazing. Next up, foundations. Probably my #1 favorite foundation in my collection, and this has been true for quite a while now, would have to be the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. Such a great all-purpose foundation, very long wearing, good solid medium coverage, great shade match for me. I use the shade 425 Linen. This is my 3rd bottle of this foundation. I do not go through 3 bottles of many foundations, but this is one that I go through pretty quickly. I'm already half done with this one. Such a great foundation on its own, and it's particularly one I love mixing with other foundations. I have not yet found a foundation that has not mixed well with this one yet, so anytime I want another foundation to maybe last a little bit longer, maybe one of my more glowy foundations to have a little better staying power, I'll mix this in, or if I'm just needing like a better shade match. One of my most used foundations, an absolute necessity for me, longtime favorite, and always probably will be. Next favorite is a little bit newer to me. I have had this foundation for nearly a year now, but it's slowly grown on me the more I've been using it. It's the Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation. I love this foundation. It's really nice and glowy and hydrating. It's much more hydrating and glowy than the L'Oreal Infallible. This is more of a skin-like kind of satin finish. This does have a nice dewy finish, but it's not overly glowy. It also lasts pretty well on me, especially considering it does have that luminous quality. It's a beautiful foundation. Good medium coverage. As I mentioned very recently, I am having trouble finding the perfect shade match. So I have 170C, 160C, and I just picked up in the last Ulta sale, which is currently going on. I just got this one in this week, is 250C. 260, which also doesn't quite match me. So still haven't found my perfect match, but that's okay. I'm not opposed to mixing foundations, and this is a really beautiful, beautiful foundation. Third favorite foundation, I'm gonna go with my Mise en Snail Repair BB Cream. Classic, one of my favorite foundations ever. This is such a good, hydrating, creamy, skin-like, but leaning a little more dewy, medium to full coverage foundation or BB cream. I have mine in the shade 27, which is a really good shade match for me. Maybe just a tad light on me right now if I am wearing some self-tanner. I'll just add a little bit of my darker ABH foundation or my darker Flower Beauty foundation into this one. It is beautiful, SPF 50. I wouldn't say it's the most long wearing, but it does wear a good, say, 8 hours on me. For that reason, this is one that I often do mix with a little bit of my L'Oreal foundation. I feel like it gives it just a little bit more staying powder, but it's beautiful. It looks amazing on my skin. I would say if you have dry skin, if you're looking for something that has some good sunscreen in it and really good like skin properties, I love this stuff. I think it's great. Next category is powder. This one's kind of funny. I actually, when I was watching Andrea's video, I remember her mentioning something like powders were one of her very favorite things to try out. I kind of feel the opposite. Powders are probably one of the things I least enjoy trying out, not because I don't use powders. They just aren't all that exciting to me. Maybe it's because I have dry skin. But I do have a couple that I would say are my favorites that I use the most. Currently, probably my number one favorite would have to be the Artsime No Color Powder. Really good multi-purpose powder. I love this for setting any area that I need to set down, which is basically just my forehead, my smile lines, my eyelids. This powder is so sheer, so lightweight. You really could apply this anywhere. It's amazing. I've been using it for, well, I've had it for a long time. And within the last like 5 months, I've gone back to using this again, was reminded why I love it so much, despite its very odd packaging. Another old staple would have to be my Rimmel Stay Matte. This has been a long time favorite, I guess, of my powders. Just a good staple powder. Again, I like something typically, although we have an exception here in a sec, that isn't heavy, doesn't give me a lot of coverage, and just is gonna lightly set down areas of my face that I needed to set down. This is perfect for that. I use the shade Transparent. This is probably like my third pan of this stuff. I do go through it kind of quickly, which is kind of strange because I don't use a lot of powder on my face. But that said, I don't mind because it's super affordable. You can get that thing for like $3 or $4. And last is a newer old discovery, and it's my Pure 4-in-1 Mineralized Powder. I have mine in the shade Golden Medium. Now this one is a powder foundation. It does have some coverage. I don't use this all over my face. Like I don't use powder foundations as my foundation, but what I like this for, I just talked about this in my recent favorites video. I like this for my forehead because I have a hard time applying enough foundation and concealer on my forehead to cover up some of my hyperpigmentation that I have up there. But I have fine lines, so if I have too much liquid product on my forehead, it's gonna settle into my expression lines up on my forehead. So this does a really good job of giving me some coverage, of setting things down if I am using some liquid foundation or concealer, or I can even use this on its own just to give me a little bit of coverage, and it really does a much better job of not settling into things up on my forehead, but still covering what I need. Almost forgot concealers. Let's go to concealers next. So all three of my top 3 concealers currently are high-end, which I think is kind of funny because I have a lot of drugstore concealers that I love. But these are the ones I'm loving the most lately, starting with one of my longest standing favorites, the Dior Forever Skin Concealer. I think this was my #1 ranked concealer in my most recent concealer ranking video. It is amazing. I love this stuff. If you need really high coverage from your concealer, this is so, so good. I absolutely love it. I can use it under my eyes. I can use it as a primer on my eyelids. I can use it on the perimeter of my face to cover up hyperpigmentation. And hyperpigmentation, if you have it, you'll know it's very, very, very hard to cover. Almost anything you put on top of hyperpigmentation doesn't seem to do a good job of concealing very well. I think this one conceals my hyperpigmentation areas better than any other liquid concealer that I own. I do have to be a little light-handed with this one. If you apply too much of this, it can get a little bit cakey, but if you're more strategic with where you apply it, it does wonders for my skin. For my second favorite concealer, I'm gonna go with my Kosas concealer. This is such a good concealer. It's a little less high coverage than my Dior, but not much. I say this has solid medium coverage. It's a little bit more hydrating and a little bit more thin than my Forever Skin concealer, but I absolutely love it. They have an amazing shade range. I love the undertones in both of these shades. They have a lot of undertones that aren't too pink or too peach. I really don't like when a concealer goes too pink or too peach on me. I do have more of an olive skinned undertone. I really love this stuff. This is especially good, I would say, for your under eye area. Maybe if you're worried about something being a little too heavy or too cakey. If you have a lot of fine lines under your eyes, it's a little bit more lightweight than some of the other ones that I'm talking about. And ranked third, I'm gonna go with this one, even though it is a little bit newer to me. This is probably the newest of the products that we're talking about today. It's the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear Concealer. I have mine in the shade 250. really good full coverage concealer. I would say this one has nearly the coverage that the Dior Forever Skin has, but it's a little bit more liquidy. It's not quite as pasty feeling and kind of thick, but I can still get really good coverage out of this one. It also lasts incredibly well on my skin. Super budge proof, but it's not heavy or cakey feeling. This is as budge proof as the Tarte Shape Tape was to me, but not as drying as the original Tarte Shape Tape was. I never liked that concealer that much because it was just a little bit too drying on my under eye area. This works on my under eyes. It works on the perimeter of my face, on my eyelids. Great multi-purpose high coverage concealer. Let's go into bronzers next. So first one would have to be my Charlotte Tilbury Cream Bronzer. This thing I am just really enjoying. It was so incredibly pricey. There was a long stretch of time where I kind of steered clear of Charlotte Tilbury products because they were so pricey. But the more I've tried out, the more I've just really enjoyed her products. This stuff is great. It's a really good cream bronzer that's not too creamy. It's more of like a creamy matte kind of finish. It's really interesting. The shade is beautiful, very long wearing as well. By the way, this is the bronzer that I am wearing on my cheeks today. Another favorite of mine is a powder bronzer from Flower Beauty. This is the Flower Beauty Heat Wave Bronzer in the shade Sunrise L1. This is such a great bronzer. If you have light to fair skin, this stuff is amazing. A beautiful finish. It has a light sheen to it. The shade of this one is so interesting. It's somewhat cool toned, but it has a subtle rosiness to it that keeps it from being too ashy. It's absolutely beautiful. Great formula, pretty affordable. You can get this at the drugstore at Ulta. Easily one of the best powder bronzers in my collection. One more cream bronzer. This one was tricky. I have so many cream bronzers that I love, but I decided to go with the Fenty Beauty Cheeks Out Cream Bronzer in the shade Butter Biscuit. This one I owe to you guys. You guys convinced me to try this one out, and I am so glad that I did. I love this. This one's just a classic. The shade is perfect. The formula is perfect. Very creamy, much more creamy than the Charlotte Tilbury one, but the shade of this is perfect. It's warm, but it's not orange. It's not too light or too dark. It just gives me the most beautiful natural looking bronze. It's beautiful. Let's talk about some blush. This is probably one of my hardest categories. I have so many blushes that I really love, but I've got a cream, a liquid, and a powder to share with you guys today. I actually didn't do that on purpose. Let's start with the powder, shall we? I decided to go with my Pat McGrath powder blush. This is a duo, obviously. Is it cheating? I would include both of these, but if I had to pick just one shade, probably go with this one right here. I love her blush formula. It is so incredibly beautiful. It looks and feels a little bit like the formula of an Hourglass blush. It has a subtle luminosity to it, but I wouldn't necessarily call it like shimmery or glowy. It's just really lovely. This is the blush that I'm wearing on my cheeks today. It's stunning. I would highly recommend her blushes. I don't think that she still sells this trio right here, but you can buy these blushes individually. This one right here in the corner is Divine Rose, and then this one is Desert Orchid. I think they're both gorgeous. I actually even like mixing these two together. Beautiful blush formula. Another favorite I had to pick is the Flower Beauty Gel Crush Lip and Cheek. I picked the shade Peach Crush. This is such a beautiful shade, a little bit more peachy, especially because I have a couple other pinks in here. Wanted to have a good classic peach blush, and this is one that I have been reaching for a ton lately. I love these. They work really well on your lips. They work good on your cheeks. This is a great color. I feel like it's a color that would work any time of year. It's kind of peach, but it has a little bit of pink in it as well. The formula of these are so nice. They're a really nice, comfortable cream that's not overly tacky or greasy. And as I mentioned, these work really well on your lips as well. There's not a lot of like hybrid products that are meant to be for your lips and your cheeks that I actually think work well for both. They're perfectly pigmented. They're not too pigmented or too sheer, so you really can use them on either your lips or your cheeks. I absolutely love them. Another favorite I had to pick though is the Juicy Pain Water Blusher. This one's in the shade Guava. I think this is still my favorite shade. I now own, I think, 8 of these, and this is probably the most beautiful, perfect, lovely shade. I love these things, as you guys very well know. They are so stunning. Such a beautiful formula. If you have dry skin, especially, maybe if you have a little more mature skin, these are absolutely stunning. Look at that beautiful shade. It's a nice, soft pink that's slightly warm, but not too warm. Like, it's not peachy. You can wear it with cool tones. You can wear it with warm tones. You can wear it in the winter. You can wear it in the summer. They're nice and sheer, but you can build them up if you need to. There'll be times that I neglect these for a month or two, and every time I pull them back out, I wonder why I ever try anything else, because they are just that good. Let's go into some highlighters next. So let's start with this one. This is one that's really grown on me this last year. It's from Laura Mercier. This is the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Powder in Highlight 01 is the shade. Beautiful, more natural highlight. I actually usually don't like more natural highlights. I really like my highlight to show up, but this is like the perfect formula. It's somewhat similar, I would say, to Pure Nude from Essence, but a little bit different. The formula is just a little bit different, but it gives you kind of that soft but still noticeable highlight and glow. It's absolutely beautiful. I'd say if you have light, fair skin. One of my favorites when I'm looking for something just slightly more natural looking, but that's still gonna show up. This is beautiful. I absolutely love it. Another favorite of mine, this will come as no surprise to you guys, is the Persona highlighter in the shade Zuma. This one is gorgeous, especially in the summertime. I pull this out every spring and summer. It can be a little bit too dark on me in the middle of winter if I'm not self-tanning at all, if I'm at my very, very fairest. But if I have just the tiniest bit of color in my skin, this is such a pretty, I would call it like a golden peach highlight. It's absolutely stunning. The formula is lovely. It's very intense, but it's not glittery. Easily one of my favorites, has been for a long time. It's made it into a lot of favorites videos, as you guys have probably seen. For my last highlighter, I had to go with the Nabla highlighter in the shade Ozone. This is amazing. I know a lot of you guys love this highlighter as well. I am so impressed with so many of these skin glazing products from Nabla. There's a couple other ones that almost made it in. I had a bronzer and a blush that I almost ranked in this video, so they were right there in the ranking or in the running. I had to go with this one though. It's absolutely stunning. If you like something very intense, I'd say this one's a lot lighter than the Persona one. There it is right there, but it's still not icy. It's not glittery either. Beautiful highlight if you have more light to fair skin, but I would say it's sheer enough that you could probably get away with using this with a lot of different skin tones depending on how intense you want your highlight to be. Okay, let's talk about some brow products. This one was kind of tricky. First off, had to go with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze. I'm back and forth with this one and the Brow Lift from e.l.f. There's some things about the e.l.f. one that I really like, but I do think this one holds your brows in place a little bit better than the e.l.f. one. Actually, quite a bit better than the e.l.f. one. I mean, this stuff does not budge. Once you get it into your brows, although it can be tricky to work with, they are not gonna move anywhere. It's a really great product. If you have a hard time getting your brows to stay upright and you want them to stay upright, this is one of the best products for doing that because it really does lock your brows into place and they do not move. I absolutely love it. For my pencil, this one might surprise you. I almost picked my Ulta Beauty, but you guys, I feel like that one is being replaced by this, which is my Benefit Precisely My Brow. This is not even an official. This is a birthday bonus edition. It's like a travel version. I do have a few of the regular versions coming my way very soon, but I have been so impressed with the consistency, the color of this brow pencil. It does such a good job of giving me those feathery like strokes. It's the perfect consistency. It's plenty pigmented, but it's stiff without being so stiff that nothing comes off when you draw. I can't explain it. It's just like a perfectly done eyebrow. I think there's a reason this has been so many people's favorites. I used to look at people that spent $25, although I still have a hard time spending $25 on this. But for a long time I thought, why would you spend $25 on a brow pencil when you can get a pretty good one for $2 to $10? But now that I've tried it, I'm starting to understand why. This is really, really good. For my third favorite, I had to go with a good brow gel. I went with my Etude House Bare Edge Brow Fixer. This is kind of hard to find brow gel. I got mine on YesStyle. It is the most interesting brow gel formula though. It is really good at once it dries, it locks your brows into place. It's semi-clear and semi-tinted. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. I'd say it's mostly clear. And because of that, I would say it probably would work for just about any eyebrow color. But I like this because it's a little more thick and gel-like than like a clear brow gel. So anytime something's too wet, my brows are gonna fall down before they can dry. And this is a little bit more kind of thick and gel-like so they stay upright while they're drying, which I really, really love. Next category, going into the eyeshadows. This one was terribly hard. And I just wanna tell you guys, these are a couple of my current favorites. These aren't necessarily my all-time favorites because I do rotate through eyeshadows frequently. There's some that I will absolutely love for like 6 months and then I'll rotate different things in and I'll love some other ones for 6 months. So just be aware of that. There's a lot of favorite eyeshadow palettes that got left out of this ranking, but these are the ones that for the last several months I have really, really been impressed with. Starting with this one right here from Sydney Grace, the Tiny Marbles palette. You guys, this is such a fun eyeshadow palette. You guys know how much I love my Sydney Grace eyeshadow formulas. I love her metallic formula. It's my favorite shimmer / metallic formula of all time. If you like intense foiled metallics, you will absolutely love her formula. Just look at this, you guys. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Liquid metal, as I always say. Love the color story of this one. There's a lot of good neutrals in here, but plenty of color to play with if you want to try something a little bit different or you want to work a color into a more neutral look, which I always love doing. Such a fun and inspiring palette. I've loved every eye look I've done with this palette, and I still feel like I have more to create with this one, like more that I could create with this. It's just a very fun one to play with if you like a little bit of color. And I would say somewhat similar things about this next palette, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. This is one of my favorite palette tries of the year, you guys. I'm so wildly impressed with this palette, both the color story, the formulas, the quality, the packaging. I love everything about this one. It is a very fun palette to play with. Very impressed with the quality of these shadows. I actually think some of these shimmers seem a little bit more creamy than I remember her shimmer formula being. I've always loved Anastasia's eyeshadow formulas, both her mattes and her shimmers, but these ones feel extra good to me. Maybe it's just been because I haven't tried or used a lot of her eyeshadows more recently, but I was so impressed with this one. I wasn't sure that I would be, but man, you guys, every look that I've created with this, and there's a lot of different looks you can create with this palette, has been beautiful. For my third palette, had to go with this little guy. This is the Nabla Cutie Nude palette. I love this palette so much. I don't know what it is about this one. It seems like a really kind of blah, simple palette, but it is absolutely stunning. Anytime I'm wanting to do my makeup and I want something kind of neutral but glamorous at the same time, I don't want to think too much, I want something that's going to be a little bit slightly pink and kind of feminine, this is lovely. These shades are gorgeous. I know I've raved about this palette a lot over the last year, and I still don't think I've tried it out on camera for you guys. I actually filmed a video where I tried this one out. I had some audio problems with that video, so I've been meaning to refilm it and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But just trust me, this palette is amazing. If you like the creamy, like creamier matte formula, which I love from Nabla, Natasha Denona does a similar formula. I love that, and you get 3 of those in this palette. You also get 3 beautiful shimmers. It creates the most beautiful eye looks that are just effortlessly soft and feminine, yet still kind of sultry and smoky at the same time. One of the most underrated palettes out there, I think. Next up is the eyeliner category. I actually just have 2 for this category, and my guess is you guys can probably guess what they are because they're the only 2 eyeliners I ever use. Starting with this one, say it with me now, Wet n Wild Simma Brown Now Liner. It's been my favorite since I first started my channel, and nothing has bumped this from its spot yet. Kind of a basic pencil. It's not like fancy or long wearing or anything like that, but it sharpens well. It stays in place pretty well on me. It's buildable, easy to control, perfect shade. I love everything about this liner, and I think I will till the day I die. And for my second favorite, I'm gonna go with my Natasha Denona Work and Set Gel Liner. This is a great gel liner. It's a little more pricey, and I have to say, I don't know that when I run out of this thing, I mean, I probably will go repurchase it, but a former version of myself, if I wasn't doing YouTube, I would probably just settle for some of the ones at the drugstore that work nearly as good as this one. I just feel like this one's a little bit more black and inky, but I've tried out some gel liners from Wet n Wild, from L'Oreal, from Maybelline, from e.l.f. I really enjoyed all of them. I felt like they all stayed in place really well. I just like how dark black this one is. Really easy to control, great gel liner. I love gel liners. If I'm doing a wing liner, gels just tend to work better for me, and this has been a great one for me over the last 6 to 8 months. Okay, mascaras. This one's kind of tricky as well. I have a lot of mascaras that I really love, so a lot were left out of this ranking today, but these are the 3 I landed on, starting with one that's really grown on me over the last year. This has become one of my very favorite mascaras in my entire collection. It's the Maybelline Sky High Mascara. This is a great mascara because it stays in place really well. It's very watery eye resistant. I mean, I don't have the waterproof version, it's just the regular version, but it does a really good job of not flaking off or running when your eyes start to water. I almost want to say it's replaced my Thrive Cosmetics mascara. I don't quite want to say that yet, but I ran out of my Thrive Cosmetics mascara back in like April or May, and I haven't repurchased it yet because I just feel like I haven't needed to, because this one does a really good job in hot weather, when I'm outdoors watching sports, when my eyes are really watering. It doesn't run on me at all. Now, it is a lot harder to remove than the Thrive Cosmetics one. That one's just so fun to remove. There's something very satisfying about taking the Thrive Cosmetics mascara off. This one I have to take a little bit more time. Sometimes I have to use like a makeup remover, or like a melt with this. Really good defining and lengthening mascara. Not so much a thickening mascara, but it's just a good general purpose mascara if you like something that's not too thick or too clumpy. Another drugstore mascara, the Essence Lash Princess. Such a classic. I tried this a long time ago, like at the very beginning of my channel, then I ran out of it, and then didn't pick it up again until about 6 months ago. And I was reminded of why so many people love this mascara. And I think when I polled you guys on what your favorite products were within different categories, this was by far the most mentioned Holy Grail mascara in that poll. And I understand why. This does amazing things for your lashes. Much more volumizing, I would say, but it does a really good job of lengthening, and it's not very clumpy either. It's just a good general purpose mascara. I wouldn't say that it's like watery eye resistant or long wearing, but I don't have any issues with this smudging or flaking by the end of the day, as long as I'm not like out in the heat or my eyes are watering like crazy. It's so good, and $5, which is another bonus. And third, I had to go with this one, the Butter London Power Up Mascara. I'm pretty sure this mascara has maybe officially been discontinued. I think you can still buy this on the Butter London website, But a couple of months ago when I was linking this, I found it on Target's website, I found it on the Walmart website, on the Nordstrom Rack website. I think the last time I checked about a week ago, I couldn't find it on any of those places. So I need to hurry up and buy a backup of this mascara before it completely runs out. I love this stuff. Now, it's not the best mascara for when it's hot outside because it kind of stays a little bit tacky on your lashes and almost melts when it's really hot outside, but this does the most amazing things for my lashes. It gives my lashes the most incredible volume. It makes it look like I have twice the amount of lashes that I actually have, or that most mascaras make me look like I have. It is the mascara that I'm wearing in my lashes today. I do have like a corner set of lashes on today, but I love this stuff. It's amazing. Really good thickening, lengthening, defining mascara. I'm sad that it took me so long to discover this one because I'm pretty sure it won't be much longer before I really won't be able to mention this for you guys again, because you will not be able to get your hands on it. But for now, while I have it, and I've got a couple more months left probably in this tube, it's easily one of my very favorites and one of my most reached for lately. Now we're down to lips. I have 4 lip categories. So I saw that Andrea had 4 lip categories. Initially I was thinking I probably only need to do 3. And then I realized, no, we're gonna do all 4. But the first category, which is lip balms and oils, I only have 2 things to mention. First off, this right here, this is pretty new to me, another newer product to me, but you guys, I'm so impressed with this stuff. This is the Kapari Lip Glossy Clear. Maybe you're wondering why this is not in a lip gloss category. This feels much more on my lips like a lip oil than it does a gloss. And I kind of use it that way. I use this as like a prep product for my lips because it really softens everything up. If I'm feeling like my lips are really crusty and kind of rough, this does a great job of just re-softening everything. It is so, so comfortable. I have the clear one and it smells amazing. I think this is the coconut scent. Oh my goodness. It smells so, so good, you guys. I picked mine up at a TJ Maxx, but I think you can still buy these at Ulta or at Sephora. And this stuff is incredible. I had to dig it out of my purse to bring it back down here. Second favorite in this category, this one's not gonna surprise you guys at all. It's the Hard Candy Plumping Serum Lip Balms. You guys, I love these so much. I know I've told you guys this 40 times this year already, but I really only love 2 shades. I've tried 4 shades of these out, and these are the 2 shades that I love above the other ones. So I have the shade Bountiful Bear and Colossal Caramel. They're so, so good. These are the type of products that I really like these for, not really days when I'm doing like a date night makeup where I'm doing a lip liner and then a lipstick on top of that and a gloss on top of that. These are more like my everyday life kind of lip products. Stuff that I just throw on my lips as I'm driving in my car, trying to go to the grocery store or get the kids to school. They give me a little bit of color. They give me a little bit of shine. They plump my lips up just a little bit. They're just really easy to use, really easy to wear. I have a set down here. I have the same set up in my purse, and I'm already considering buying another backup because heaven forbid they should discontinue these. These are one of my most reached for makeup products. These are like what the Wet n Wild eyeliner is to my eyes. These are to my lips. They are like my staple product. I absolutely love them. I know not everybody does. I have a couple friends that have mentioned they thought they smelled bad. Mine don't really smell. It's basically a lip balm with a little bit of color and a little bit of a plumping property. So, so good. If you haven't tried them out yet, I think they are great. Next category is lipsticks. So let's start with this one right here. It's been a long time favorite of mine. It's from Flower Beauty. I love the Flower Beauty lipsticks. I think they are so, so good. This one is in the shade Naked Blush. Just a great classic kind of peachy pink. There it is right there. I'd say this is just like a basic warm light nude pink. It's really, really lovely. Generally speaking, I prefer pinks above peaches on me. At least I have lately. That's just kind of like the look I've been into. So you might see a little bit of overlap in some of these lipsticks in particular. Next to that one though, another favorite of mine, kind of since the spring. This is one I've been really reaching for a ton since this last spring. It's from Persona. It's the Persona liquid lipstick in the shade Flamingo. This is a great classic pink that's very, very long wearing. I love putting this on almost like as a lip liner. I actually have this on underneath some other products today. And I'll kind of just line my lips with this basically as I would a lip liner and then kind of like run it into the center of my lips just a little bit, let it set down, and then I'll top it with like a gloss or a lipstick. It's super long wearing. The shade is beautiful. Oh, I love this so much, you guys. If you're not into pinks, she has another shade, the shade OG, which is a really nice kind of peachy pink. But if I had to pick one, I'd go with the pink over the peach. And then one more favorite. This is from Sydney Grace. This is one of their lip creams in the shade Bailey. This is one of my most reached for lip topper type of shades when I want to lighten something else up. I know this doesn't look that light, right there, but it gives me just this little bit of brightness and lightness in the center of my lips. Now I know this looks like a lip gloss, but these are more of like a liquefied lipstick. They are intensely pigmented. I would not apply these as you would a lip gloss because it's gonna be too much, but I love the formula of these, and this shade is so, so pretty, especially in the center of my lips. Lip glosses. This was another tricky category. Got a lot of lip glosses that I love, but I picked 3 that I think are good classics for me and ones that I've been reaching for particularly a lot lately. First off, this one I've been reaching for since basically the day that I started my YouTube channel, probably for the last 10 years. It's from NYX. It's the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Creme Brulee. This is a classic. Anytime I'm trying out a lipstick, maybe it went a little too dark or I want to just lighten things up in the center, this is one of the first things that I will reach for. It works with pink tones, it works with peach tones. Let me just give this one a little swatch. It's a really nice formula, great amount of pigmentation. It's not so pigmented that it's going to cover everything up underneath it, but it gives just a subtle amount of like brightness and shine to your lips. It's so, so beautiful. This is definitely my favorite shade from them. They have a lot of other ones that I really love, but this one's my most repurchased. Another favorite gloss of mine, this has been a long time favorite, but it's worked its way back into my favorites more recently after having a bit of a neglectful period for a bit. It's the Persona lip gloss in the shade Pink. This is what I'm wearing on top of the Persona Flamingo lip gloss today, and it is gorgeous. I'd say this one's more pigmented than the NYX Butter Gloss, at least the shade Creme Brulee. There it is. Right there, beautiful classic pink shade. It's not too cool or too warm. It's not too light or too dark. You can wear it on its own or on top of a lip liner or a lipstick. Such a great, great gloss. And for my third favorite, I had to go with the Maybelline Lifter Gloss in the shade Opal. This is also a dupe for another favorite of mine. I was back and forth between these two. I love them both. The Fenty Gloss in the shade Sweet Mouth. These glosses are basically identical to each other. I ended up going with the Maybelline because it is drugstore. Although I think if we're talking about price per ounce, I think the Fenty one's probably not that much more expensive, if at all. But I went with this one because the smell of the Lifter Gloss is the best smelling lip gloss, I think. Maybe aside from the Kapari that I own in my entire collection. So there it is right there. This one's a little bit more sheer, has a little bit more kind of sparkle in it. I wouldn't say glitter, it just has this like sparkly quality to it. It is absolutely stunning. Very, very glossy, and again, a great product to throw on top of any lip liner, any lipstick, light or dark, it doesn't matter. You can throw this on anything to add a little shine, and it is gorgeous. Lip liners, let's start with one that I have really loved over the last 6 months. It's from MAC. This is the MAC lip liner in the shade Subculture. This is such a great lip liner when I want my lips to be really light. Oftentimes I will line my lips with something a little bit darker, kind of just on the center of my lips. But for days when I want my lips to be a little bit more subdued, I love this lip liner. It's one of those kind of like barely there lip liners. It doesn't give your lips a ton of color, but it basically just gives them more defined shape that's not obvious that you're wearing a lip liner. It's kind of hard to explain. Great color. It's kind of like a warm, soft, beigey nude pink, but it doesn't go orange or too pink on me. It looks almost like my natural lip color. Really beautiful, not necessarily long wearing, and these are a little bit stiff, so you've got to spend some time like shaping your lips out with these because they do take a little bit longer to apply. But once you get the hang of them, these really can give your lips really good shape. I also had to go with my Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat Liner in the shade Iconic Nude. This has been a long time favorite of mine. One of the most long wearing lip liners in my entire collection. These things are amazing. You do want to let them set down before you top them with a lipstick or a gloss. So there's the shade right there. This one is a little bit deeper, but it goes with anything, whether I'm wearing something more pink toned or more kind of peach toned. Or I can just apply this on its own, maybe fill in just a little bit in the center and top it with a gloss. It's a great, great lip liner that lasts forever. This stuff lasts so well. And then last but not least, oh my goodness, you guys, I just discovered I am out of this one. Oh, what do you know? I need to pick up a new one. This is from LA Girl. This is the Ultimate Intense Wear Auto Liner. This one is in the shade Nonstop Nude. There it is right there. Really nice, basic nude pink. It's just a little bit darker than Subculture. It's kind of the same shade, but just a little bit deeper than Subculture is. Love this one. Very long wearing. It's the most long wearing lipstick that I have yet found from the drugstore. They're super affordable. I think you can get these for like $4 or $5 at Ulta. And last but not least, let's talk about some setting sprays. I love a good setting spray. I don't always use a setting spray. I don't find that I always need it, but it is a very pleasant experience if you have not used setting sprays before. There's just something about it that I feel like is kind of like, it's like a mental thing. It's like a cue that, oh, my makeup's done and they smell nice and it feels good. So just know this step is optional, but I do have 3 favorites. First off, the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Setting Spray. This is my second bottle of this stuff. I love it. It is so good. The value in this thing is incredible, especially if you can find this on sale. You get a ton of product in here. I think it has like 3.4 ounces or something. Oh dear. And I bring my glasses down. 3.7 ounces. So this thing is a beast. It's gonna last forever. Nice and hydrating, but I wouldn't call this one glowy. Like, it's not gonna make your skin glow necessarily. Like, it doesn't leave your skin feeling tacky. So if you have more oily skin, I wouldn't imagine this would be a problem for you. It's just a good basic setting spray. Another one I really love, this one does give my skin a little bit more glow, is the L'Oreal Lumi Shake and Glow Dew Mist. Are they still selling this one? The last time I tried to link it from Ulta, I had a hard time finding it. I can only find the little bottle. I love this stuff. It is so, so good. It smells like what I think Kevin is going to smell like. I think I've said that about a couple things before. This is one of the options. I'm very sad if they are discontinuing that one because it is one of my favorites. And last but not least, had to go with my Urban Decay All Nighter. This is a classic. This one's not quite as dewy as those ones. The scent of this one, I wouldn't say, it's not bad. You can kind of still smell it. It's a little bit lighter of a scent though, I would say, but it does help your makeup to stay in place. So if you are someone that maybe has more oily skin or you really want to lock your makeup in place, I do think this one does set your makeup down a little bit better, especially if you're using a lot of powder products. I know the drugstore makes similar setting sprays to this one right here if you're looking for something more affordable. I know you guys have mentioned a few to me. I just am not one to try out a lot of setting sprays because they can get a little bit pricey and they go bad kind of fast. Like, I don't feel like I can hold on to this for 4 years like I do some of my other makeup products. So I really like to use up my setting sprays before I try something else, but those would have to be my top 3 currently. And there you have it, you guys. Those are my top 3 makeup products in all of the makeup categories. Oh my goodness, this was a lot of makeup. This is crazy. This is only my top 3. Makes me realize how deep this addiction I have to makeup really is. But I had so much fun filming this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I'd love to know if you have a favorite product that you would love to share with me. I would love to hear it down below. Maybe it's something similar that I have, or maybe you're mad at me for not mentioning something that you think I should have mentioned. Well, go ahead and let me know that as well. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I hope you guys are all doing well. Let me give you one last reminder. If you are not yet subscribed, please consider doing that before you leave, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.